Hey, Clint DeBoer here, Chief Guru with AudioGurus.com, and we're giving you a hands-on look today at Atlantic Technology's AT2 bookshelf speakers. Now, when taking a look at any new pair of speakers, I always look at the drivers and I kind of wonder whether or not, actually I kind of bet myself, whether or not it's going to meet the manufacturer's specs for frequency response. The Atlantic Technology AT2s are kind of right in line with their spec because they use a single 5¼ inch graphite polymer woofer that claims to go down to 41 hertz. But what's different about these is they use what's called H-Pass technology. This is something I saw back in 2009 at the CEDIA Expo. It was debuted on the H-Pass 1 prototype towers. They packed an incredible amount of bass into what was really a tiny form factor. But back to the AT2s, these speakers are not prototypes. In fact, they look really refined. The baffle of the Silk Dome tweeter is set into the 5¼ inch woofer, so it closes the gap and it gives you a lot less lobing and really makes a cohesive sound right to your ears. In terms of design, Atlantic Technology took away kind of that boxy look that you see everywhere, and really they kind of bowed out the speakers with a beautiful piano finish. It has metal flakes going on in it that it just really looks cool. The rest of the speakers covered with what I would call a thin kind of leatherette veneer. On the back, you've got these 5-way binding posts. You can biamp this speaker, and you've got this 3-way toggle that gives you the ability to raise or lower the tweeter output. Now that's going to help you compensate for bright or even overly dampened rooms. Really, these speakers live up to their low frequency hype. I tested it out with the Reeves Audio CD, and I was able to play these things down to 40 hertz without really breaking much of a sweat. Test tones are fun, but I also play back tracks that I'm familiar with. In particular, I play back Seal in the Crazy track. In about 5 minutes and 15 seconds, it's got some subsonic frequencies that play through. And if you listen carefully, you'll notice that while these definitely didn't have a ton of punch in the bottom end, they were able to reproduce those frequencies with a strong tone that kind of came through. Most speakers just ignore them completely. You see the speakers moving and nothing's coming out. These actually had some presence. Imaging on the AT2s is what I call above par. You're not able to just place the instruments in the horizontal space in front of you when you're closing your eyes and listening to music, but they actually take on a sense of depth. This is really noticeable when I played the SACD of Pink Floyd's Money. The intro, you really could put everything in a proper perspective, and you could feel the effects exactly where they were in 3D space, and I really like to hear that from a good set of bookshelves. Playing back Blackest Eyes from Porcupine Tree, his is a really bright mix, and so what I like to do with this is just listen to what's the tweeter doing. Is it breaking up? Is it distorting? It wasn't. So even though it's playing a lot of bright, densely compacted audio, the tweeter really handled it well, and the onslaught of frequencies didn't blow this thing up or cause it to distort or cause it to sound really overly sibilant. Trains was the next track. I listened to it, and there's a great acoustic guitar with a double on the right. Steve Wilson's vocals were just pinned dead center. His gentle vocal style was delicate. It was articulated really well by the Silk tweeters. I'm not going to pull any punches on you. These speakers are really, really excellent, but they do cost $900 a pair. If you're into high-end audio and you intend to play back some high-quality sources, that's not going to bother you and you won't be disappointed. But if that price made your significant other look at you like you're crazy, go work some overtime. It might still be worth it. But anyway, Atlantic Technology has several systems that work closely with THX to develop. This is not one of them, but it appears to borrow some of that styling, and it kind of crosses a hybrid between like the 4400 series and its H-Pass technology. It just wraps it together and makes a brand new product that's really exceptional. But the only thing negative that I have to say with regard to these speakers is that, well, I got to send them back. Maybe I can drag the review out a little longer. In any case, listen, if you haven't checked out AudioGurus.com, visit the site, check out what we have to offer. AudioGurus.com/learn is the site where we have digital online magazine that will give you setup tips, helpful advice on speaker placement, calibration, and also features other reviews on products that we can really get our hands on and tear into and find out what they're really made of. Visit us on Facebook, facebook.com/AudioGurus, or hit us up at Twitter at AudioGurus.